I'm live. I'm reading out of Scarlet Feather. It is a book by Joan Grant. She was a farm memory writer. She wrote her own farm memories. This is a story of Piyanah and Raki. They're cousins and they are now 17 and they are building their own tribe where male and female are running this tribe together. They have had their ordeals. They both have a scarlet feather now, which is the highest accolade. And Nakachik, who is the chief and also Piyanah's father, has just done the hand fasting with these two. And I repeat what he says. Raki and Piyanah, I, Nakachik, declare in the name of my totem that now and until both of you have crossed the river, you are and shall be chief of the tribe of the Heron. What I have given to you, you shall give to your people, and to you they shall give that which they have given to me. Your honor shall be their honor, and your courage their courage, even as their feathers shall be in your headdress and their love in your heart. Raki and I knew that the unity with which we have attained was a degree for which all the others, save perhaps Gorky and Chika, were not ready. We had spoken in our names on both sides of the water, but they who came with us were building a bridge across the divisions of earth, not yet the bridge between earth and the stars. So it was in the name of their red-skinned selves, not in the name of the generations, that we asked our tribe to pledge their oaths. First came Rokina and Tikini, she upright and serene, so different from the crippled girl who had been scorned in the school's teepee. He a handbreadth taller than she, his mouth solemn, which hid the gap made by the friendship tooth which Raki still had on a neck thong. The objects on the wooden platters had been placed there at our request, for we knew that they would help to symbolize the ritual we were going to use. It was a ritual born of our hearts, yet well familiar, for our thoughts had polished the words many times during the past 2 years. On the first platter were 2 moccasins, a man's and a woman's, bearing in white and scarlet beads our new tribal mark of 2 interlaced triangles. With these were a thong and a forehead band in the same colors, twisted together. Then, speaking as one, Raki and I said, "We give you our moccasins. On what journey should they take you?" Rokina and Takini answered, "Towards each other, towards our friends, towards the sun." And we asked them, "From whom should they take you away?" They answered, "From the sorrow bird, from the lord of the carrion crow, and from loneliness." We gave them the moccasins and they put them on, then knelt and gave them back to us to be returned to the white stone. Then we took the forehead thongs and said, "What should they mean to you?" A sign that we should never forget that the name of each other is written on our foreheads, deeper than a brand, stronger than a tribal mark. We asked them, "Why are these thongs twisted together?" And they answered, "Because together they have the strength which cannot be broken, but divided they are not greater than their own substance." Then from the second platter we took a cob of corn and a strip of pemmican and asked, "What is the riddle in these things that you can answer in yourselves?" Rokina said, "Corn is the wisdom of the future, which should grow in the field that love has furrowed." And Tikina said, "Pemmican is the memory of the past in which we are strong today and which can sustain us in a time of forgetting, as we were sustained until the before people were clearly remembered." From the third platter I took fire sticks and salt, and we said, What is the word of the fire and the voice of the salt?" Together Rokina and Tikini answered, "The fire is the memory and the looking forward that we shall take with us even to the places that are cold with today. The salt is the voice of the great hunters, in which are remembered all the bright realities in the name of love, and in the eating of which we recognize what we may call both the pine cone and the lord of the trees, both the rocks and the great hunters, our ancestors. Then, as Nakachik had done to us, we took her right wrist and his left, and drew a knife over them until the blood flowed, and bound their wrists together to make them of one blood. And this did we also do to Gorky and Chika, to all the 70 who were to come with us. If a stranger had been looking down into the encampment from the top of the cliff, he might have thought that a feasting he saw was familiar to any redskin who had been to the gathering of the 30 tribes. Young deer were roasting over glowing ashes, and savory steam rose from 20 cooking pots. Platters of salted fish were passed from hand to hand, and cakes fried in goat's butter and honey were piled on dishes of red and yellow pottery. But let the stranger come down this steep path, and he would think himself bemused by tree spirits or drunk with mead. For you would have seen men and women eating together, talking together, singing together in equality. And he would have seen 2 chiefs, a man and a woman, sitting side by side on a white blanket woven from a fleece that she had brought back from the high mountains in winter. Yet even if the stranger had looked at the woman's moccasins, he might not have known that it was a man who had embroidered it, a man in those whose fingers dwelt the skill of both hunter and squaw, warrior and woman. If the stranger had concealed himself in the shadow of the pine tree at the foot of the cliff to watch unseen, he would have known that the feasting continued until sunset. He would also have seen an old man who by his headdress was also a chief to go into the great teepee, and he would have seen the elders go to the teepee of the elders, and the old women and the children and many of the braves and the squaws return to their own places, as is their custom. But he would have seen the man and the woman who wore the feathered headdress, with them 73 stay to put fresh logs on the tribal watchfire that flared into a great blaze against the sunset. And as the shadow came down to guard the earth against the sun's returning, he would have seen these men and women go hand in hand to be alone together in the woods of their sunrise. Right, this is the end of this chapter. The next one is the moon of the uniting. Happy Monday!